Welcome to the Chronicles of Lost Relations. We're so grateful to have you here. Your support means everything to us. If today's story resonated with you, or if you have any thoughts or feedback, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more stories that will move, inspire, and connect us all. Thank you for being part of our journey. Let us commence. Julian Carter stood before his bedroom mirror, meticulously tying his tie. He was consistently careful, an early riser, and dedicated to his work. His role as a software engineer at a startup in Boulder, Colorado, occupied much of his time. He enjoyed staying occupied. His job provided him with a sense of purpose and a structured routine. As he adjusted his tie, an unsettling feeling began to gnaw at him, one that had been slowly creeping in over the past few weeks. His wife, Madison Carter, had been behaving unusually in recent days. She was consistently lively and engaging, her enthusiasm illuminating the space around her. A premier real estate agent in Boulder, Madison, Carter excelled with her charisma and her knack for building connections with others. Yet a change had occurred. She seemed aloof, preoccupied. She was dedicating more hours to her job and frequently using her phone, sending texts late into the night, insisting it was for clients or urgent deals. Nathan was not inclined to make hasty judgments. He had faith in Madison Carter. They had shared a decade of marriage filled with love, trust, and unwavering support. Yet the discomfort lingered, a shadowy presence lurking just beyond his awareness. After he completed the adjustments to his tie, he cast a look at the bed. Madison Carter remained in slumber, her back facing him. He let out a deep breath. They hadn't engaged in meaningful conversation for days, only exchanging superficial remarks about work and weekend plans. The closeness they once experienced appeared to have vanished. Nathan set the thought aside. Perhaps it was merely stress. Both of them were occupied, yet beneath the surface, he sensed that something was amiss. Later that evening, Nathan found himself seated in a serene hotel room in New York City. His work had taken him on a sudden business trip, leaving Madison Carter by herself in Boulder. He gazed intently at his laptop screen, striving to concentrate on the task before him. Yet his thoughts continually returned to her. He glanced at his phone. There were no messages. It was unusual for her not to call and say goodnight. Madison Carter consistently excelled in that regard, even during her most hectic days. He opened the messaging app, gazing at their last conversation from days prior, consisting of only brief exchanges about groceries and errands. The gap between them had widened, and now it seemed like an abyss. Nathan shut the laptop and rose to his feet, walking back and forth in the room. His heart pounded in his chest. Perhaps it was insignificant. Perhaps he was just being overly cautious. Yet a persistent voice lingered in the recesses of his mind, one he could no longer dismiss. He picked up his phone and called a number. A woman answered after 2 rings. "Greetings, Amanda. Julian Carter here. Nathan, how have you been? I would like to engage your services. I suspect that Madison Carter may be unfaithful to me." Claire Bennett, a leading private investigator in Boulder, took a moment to pause. She had known Nathan and Madison Carter through mutual friends, and she had always held a deep respect for Nathan's straightforward approach to life. "Are you certain?" "I'm not entirely certain about what you're asking me to do. I am reaching out to you for that reason. I seek to uncover the truth." Amanda paused for a moment before responding. "Very well, Nathan. I will accept the case. I will require a few days. I will reach out to you once I have an update." Nathan ended the call and settled back on the edge of the hotel bed. His hands trembled, not out of fear but from rage. He had always placed his trust in Madison Carter. He had offered her all of himself, his time, his loyalty, his love. If she were to betray him, he would never forgive her. He was unable to. Madison Carter sat at a bar in downtown Boulder, sharing laughter with a group of colleagues. Logan West, the delightful and youthful realtor who had joined the firm last year, was seated beside her. His knee lightly touched hers beneath the table, causing a delightful shiver to race up her spine. She remained in place. The evening began with a sense of simplicity and ease. Enjoying beverages with colleagues, a means to relax following a demanding week. As the hours went by and the drinks continued to pour, Madison Carter felt an undeniable pull toward Eric. He had a playful spirit, a relaxed demeanor, and was always ready with a witty remark. He truly focused on her, something Nathan hadn't done in months. Nathan was perpetually engaged in his work, consistently dedicated to his professional pursuits. Madison Carter was aware of his love for her, yet she felt unseen. With Eric, she felt acknowledged. "Shall we go for another round?" Eric inquired, showcasing his captivating smile. Madison Carter paused briefly, then gave a nod. "Absolutely, that sounds good." As the night progressed, their flirtation became increasingly apparent. Eric's hand lingered on her thigh, and Madison Carter made no move to deter him. The guilt ate away at her, yet she suppressed it. It was merely innocent amusement, she reassured herself. No one needed to be aware. However, as the night progressed, what began as innocent amusement escalated into something significantly more perilous. Madison Carter stood in Eric's apartment, their clothes strewn across the floor, her thoughts swirling around her. She was aware of the wrongdoing, yet in that instant it didn't matter to her. All she desired was to experience something, anything, that would help her forget the emptiness she had been feeling. Nathan arrived home late that night, the house still and dim. He boarded the red-eye flight from New York, eager to surprise Madison Carter. As he entered their bedroom, an unsettling feeling washed over him. Madison Carter lay in slumber, her form nestled beneath the blankets. Nathan swiftly changed, sliding into bed beside her, taking care not to disturb her slumber. As he got comfortable, he observed something on the nightstand or phone. A soft glow emanated from it, indicating a new message. His curiosity overwhelmed him, and he leaned in, unlocking the screen. His heart ceased to beat. Eric sent the message. "Last night was incredible. I can't get you out of my mind." Nathan's thoughts surged with intensity. His body became icy. A deep rage surged within him, an intensity of fury he had never known before. It had evolved beyond mere suspicion. It was genuine. She had deceived him. He reclined in the darkness, gazing at the ceiling, his thoughts whirling. He remained awake for hours, the burden of her betrayal overwhelming him. As the first light of dawn filtered through the blinds, Nathan reached a decision. He chose not to confront her. Not at this time. He desired for her to experience the complete impact of her actions. With great care, he eased himself out of bed and made his way to the bathroom. He pulled a used condom from the trash, a repulsive, symbolic reminder of the events that had transpired between her and Eric. His thoughts were now precise and methodical. Nathan placed the used condom in her hand while she remained asleep, her fingers curling around it without awareness. He took a pen and paper from the nightstand, quickly jotting down a brief note. "This needs to be returned to your boyfriend." He placed the note beside her and stepped back, his eyes aflame with animosity. He understood that this would startle her awake in a state of alarm. He desired for her to experience the jolt, the revulsion, the terror of being discovered. Yet, above all, he wished for her to understand that forgiveness was not an option. Nathan gathered his belongings with care, departing from the house in silence. He closed the door gently. He remained composed. He wished to vanish completely, allowing her to confront the horror of the reality she had brought upon herself. Madison Carter awoke abruptly, the morning sunlight pouring in through the window. Her hand was damp and chilly. With a sense of bewilderment, she opened her eyes and glanced down, discovering a used condom tightly held in her hand. Her breath hitched in her throat as she sat up abruptly, her heart racing. What did she whisper, her voice quivering? At that moment, her gaze fell upon the note resting on the nightstand. Her hand trembled as she lifted it, her gaze sweeping over the text. "This needs to be returned to your boyfriend." A wave of panic washed over me. She leaped from her bed, shouting for Nathan, yet the house remained hauntingly quiet. His clothing, his bag, all vanished. He had disappeared. Her heart raced as she dialed his number, only to be met with the sound of voicemail. Time and time again she attempted to contact him, only to face the same outcome each time. She sent desperate messages, pleading for him to return, to allow her the chance to explain. Yet there was silence in reply. Madison Carter sank onto the edge of the bed, her thoughts swirling around her. How could he possibly know? How did he come to know? Her chest constricted with anxiety as she struggled to make sense of it all. She believed she had been meticulous, or at least that was her impression. Tears filled her eyes as the profound impact of her actions overwhelmed her. She had deceived him, and now she was facing the consequences. Nathan lingered outside the house, observing from afar as Madison Carter hurriedly made her way inside. He had positioned his car down the street, at a distance that ensured she wouldn't spot him. He desired to witness her panic, to observe her desperation. He was resolute in his decision to never forgive her. In his mind, trust held a definitive quality, and once shattered, it could never be restored. He had offered Madison Carter his all, yet she discarded it for a fleeting affair with a younger man. Now, he would ensure she experienced pain. Nathan ignited the engine and drove off, leaving the past behind him. He devised a plan, one that was meticulous and calculated, aimed at making Madison Carter regret every single moment of her betrayal. Forgiveness and reconciliation were out of the question. He would destroy her, just as she had destroyed their marriage. While he was driving, a message from Amanda caused his phone to buzz. "I have all that you require." "Of all what?" "Inform me when you are prepared." Nathan smiled slyly, his hold on the steering wheel growing firmer. He was prepared. This was just the start. Nathan positioned himself before Amanda's office, his fingers tapping rhythmically on the doorframe before he gently pushed it open. The comforting aroma of coffee and paper welcomed him as he entered, yet he chose to forego any niceties. He had no interest in casual conversation. His thoughts were consumed by a singular purpose: revenge. Claire Bennett, the private investigator he had engaged, glanced up from her desk. Her keen gaze examined him for a brief moment before she gestured for him to take a seat. "I've got what you need," she said, sliding a thick folder across the desk. Nathan took a seat, yet he refrained from opening the folder immediately. His face remained devoid of expression, yet within him a tumult of rage and icy calculation simmered. He was aware of the contents of that folder, evidence of Madison Carter's unfaithfulness. He didn't require the specifics, yet he needed them to carry out his strategy. "Tell me everything," he said, his voice unwavering and frigid. Amanda reclined in her chair, her arms crossed. "I have been following her for the past week, just as you requested. She had 3 meetings with Logan West, each occurring at his apartment. I have photographs, timestamps, and also a few audio recordings. There is absolutely no question, Nathan. She is being unfaithful." Nathan tightened his jaw, remaining silent for a moment. The confirmation, though anticipated, still hurt. After dedicating a decade to creating a life alongside Madison Carter, he found himself devastated as she discarded it all for a fleeting affair. The idea ignited a fierce anger within him. Amanda pressed on, attuned to his desire for further information. They have been spending time together for a few months, but their meetings have become more frequent in recent weeks. She's managing to conceal her actions quite effectively, yet I managed to uncover some old messages and emails exchanged between them. It is evident that she has been dishonest with you for some time. Nathan clenched his fists in his lap, yet he compelled himself to remain composed. He had moved past the tendency to act on impulse. That was what Madison Carter anticipated: anger, a confrontation, an eruption of emotions. However, he refused to grant her that satisfaction. Instead, he devised a plan, a carefully crafted and deliberate scheme to ensure she would face the consequences. "Well done." Nathan finally spoke, his voice calm and measured. "I hope this lasts a while longer. I desire her to experience pain. I desire for her to lose it all." Amanda nodded, undeterred by his fervor. She had encountered this scenario previously, betrayed spouses and shattered marriages, but Nathan was distinct in some way. He was deeply wounded. He was precise, systematic. This was not a matter of seeking revenge impulsively. This was a calculated and intentional act of destruction. "What will you do next?" she inquired, leaning in a bit. Nathan's lips formed a subtle smile, yet it failed to illuminate his eyes. "I plan to tarnish her reputation initially, then I will leave her with nothing." Later that day, Nathan found himself in a dimly lit bar, gazing into his glass of whiskey. He had never been much of a drinker, yet today seemed to demand something bolder than his typical coffee. Seated across from him was Derek Wallace, a longtime friend and a thriving divorce attorney. "I understand it's not appealing," Sam remarked, taking a sip of his own drink, "but you have choices." In Colorado, the divorce process operates under a no-fault system, meaning that proving infidelity is not necessary to achieve your desired outcomes in court. However, if your aim is to strike a painful blow, a well-thought-out plan is essential. Nathan nodded, his gaze fixed on the amber liquid in his glass. I am seeking more than just a divorce. I want to destroy her, Sam. She has taken everything from me, and I will ensure she feels the weight of her actions. Sam lifted an eyebrow in curiosity. He had known Nathan for years back in college. They had been roommates, and he had always admired Nathan's ability to remain composed in stressful situations. However, this was distinct. A shadow had settled within him now, a steadfast resolve that caused concern for even Sam. "What are your thoughts on this?" Sam inquired with care. Nathan reclined, at last locking eyes with his friend. "Initially, my desire is for the house. Everything. She is not entitled to any of my money. Then, I will ensure that her reputation is thoroughly tarnished. She is a leading real estate agent in Boulder, correct? Let's observe how she performs now that everyone is aware of her deceitful and dishonest nature." Sam took another sip, his thoughts swirling rapidly. "It is achievable, but caution is essential. If this becomes too chaotic, it may have negative consequences for you." Nathan's smile lacked warmth. "I don't have concerns about disorder. I have concerns regarding the outcomes." That evening, Madison Carter sat in the living room, her gaze fixed vacantly on the television. Days had passed without a word from Nathan. Each call and every text remained without a response. She existed in a perpetual state of unease. Her stomach churned as she revisited the events of the past few days, repeatedly in her thoughts. In an instant, the front door swung open, and Nathan entered the room. Madison Carter sprang to her feet, a wave of relief washing over her as she hurried toward him. "Nathan!" she exclaimed, her voice trembling. "I have been reaching out to you through calls and texts. Where have you been lately?" Nathan took a moment before responding. He placed his keys on the table with a sense of calm and walked by her, making his way to the kitchen. Madison Carter trailed behind, her heart racing. "Nathan, I kindly ask you, simply engage with me. I apologize." He pivoted abruptly, his gaze icy and remote. "I apologize." His voice was chilling, each word slicing through the air. "You regret being discovered." Madison Carter's breath hitched in her throat. "No, that's not the case. I acknowledge my error, but we can move forward." Nathan struck his hand against the counter, bringing her words to a halt. "Is it an error? So you consider months of deception and secrecy just a mistake? Please refrain from insulting me, Madison Carter." Her eyes filled with tears. However, Nathan remained unyielding. He refused to permit himself to. "You possessed it all, yet you discarded it. For what purpose? A person who holds no significance? Was it truly worth it?" Madison Carter shook her head, her voice quivering. "No, it was not worth it. I'm not quite sure what prompted me to do that. Kindly, Nathan, I cherish you. We can navigate this together." Nathan released a sardonic chuckle. "Can you help me with this? Do you believe there's a possibility that I might forgive you?" He advanced toward her, his eyes aflame with fury. "You shattered us, Madison Carter. This cannot be repaired." She extended her hand to make contact with him. However, he took a step back, shaking his head. "Refrain from doing that. I find it difficult to look at you at this moment." Madison Carter's shoulders drooped, the burden of her choices overwhelming her. She had shattered the one thing she believed would forever be Nathan's love. Now, she found herself with nothing but the hollow remnants of what their marriage once was. Nathan's voice took on a gentler tone, yet the cold edge persisted. "I am initiating divorce proceedings, Madison Carter, and I will be taking it all. The residence, the vehicles, all of it. Consider yourself fortunate if you emerge from this situation with anything beyond your attire." Madison Carter, "Sir," felt a heavy weight in her chest. "This is not something you can accomplish." Nathan beamed. However, it lacked any warmth. "Observe me." The following morning, Nathan occupied his office, his laptop open as he meticulously reviewed his plans, one step at a time. He had already reached out to Sam to initiate the divorce proceedings. It was now the moment to embark on the next phase, ruining Madison Carter's reputation. He understood that Madison Carter's enterprise relied heavily on her allure and charisma. her skill in establishing rapport with clients. However, that image was delicate. Nathan was fully determined to break it apart. He had already collected sufficient evidence regarding her affair with Eric, courtesy of Amanda's meticulous investigation. At this point, he just required the perfect opportunity to reveal it to everyone. He entered a number on the keypad. After a few rings, Amanda answered the call. "Has it been completed?" he inquired directly. Amanda responded affirmatively. "I shared the information with several important individuals in the real estate community. It will spread quickly." Nathan wore a sly grin. "Well done. Ensure it spreads out broadly." He ended the call and reclined in his chair, content. It wasn't long before Madison Carter's phone began to ring, with clients canceling and colleagues murmuring behind her back. Her career, the result of her relentless effort, would disintegrate right before her eyes. Nathan felt no remorse, not even for a moment. She had made her decision. Now, she would confront the repercussions. Madison Carter sat in her office when the first call arrived. It was one of her most significant clients, a prosperous developer she had collaborated with for several months. She responded with her characteristic enthusiasm. However, the tone on the other end was frigid. The client said, "Madison Carter, we need to talk." Madison Carter felt a knot in her stomach. "Certainly, what is happening? I have come across some troubling information regarding you, concerning your private life." Madison Carter felt her heart pounding. "I'm not sure I understand what you mean." "Rumors are circulating, Madison Carter, concerning a romantic entanglement. Regrettably, we cannot afford to be linked to such a scandal. I regret to inform you that I must cancel our deal." Madison Carter faltered, her voice trembling. "Hold on, there seems to be a mix-up. I can provide an explanation, but the call was disconnected." She gazed at her phone in shock, her hands shaking. The calls arrived one after another. Clients, colleagues, and even friends are all pulling away from her. Every call pierced Madison Carter's heart like a dagger. Her clients, who had once shown unwavering loyalty, were now reaching out to terminate their agreements. The phone rang continuously, each call delivering more unfortunate news. Madison Carter sensed that her world was crumbling around her. She made an effort to maintain her composure, responding to calls with a strained sense of cheerfulness. However, her attempts were met with distant, unresponsive replies. After finishing another call, she collapsed into her office chair, overwhelmed by a sense of defeat. Her career, a testament to her relentless effort, was disintegrating right before her eyes. The murmurs and speculations regarding her affair had circulated extensively, tarnishing her professional standing. After several hours, Madison Carter found herself alone in her office, gazing at her reflection in the dimly lit window. She felt empty, devoid of all that she had once cherished. Her phone buzzed once more, and she paused before reaching for it. Nathan sent another message, this time including a link to a newly published article. The headline announced, "Boulder's leading real estate agent entangled in controversial affair." Madison Carter felt a wave of disappointment wash over her as she clicked the link, absorbing the information. The article, while appearing neutral, included incriminating evidence of her affair with Logan West. The collection featured photographs, correspondence, and a comprehensive timeline of their encounters. The article refrained from naming Nathan explicitly, yet it was evident that the information originated from a spurned partner. Once more, her phone rang, this time displaying a call from Eric. Madison Carter replied, her voice quivering. "Eric, you must take a look at this." Eric's voice came through the receiver as a faint whisper. "I witnessed it. I am in disbelief that this is occurring. My phone has been inundated with messages and calls." Madison Carter's eyes brimmed with tears. "What shall we do? We are unable to take any action," Eric stated, his tone devoid of emotion. "I apologize, Madison Carter. I cannot participate in this matter. My career is also on the line." The connection was lost before Madison Carter had a chance to reply. She gazed at the phone, the gravity of Eric's words settling in. He was leaving her, just as everyone else had done. Isolated and heartbroken, Madison Carter concealed her face in her hands, weeping without restraint. Nathan, on the other hand, was savoring the turmoil he had instigated. He observed from afar as Madison Carter's career unraveled. His plan was unfolding flawlessly. The story had captured the media's attention, and Madison Carter's name was now associated with scandal and betrayal across various platforms. Her reputation, carefully crafted over the years, was being torn apart bit by bit. Nathan had meticulously planned this downfall, fully aware of the importance of striking Madison Carter at her most vulnerable point. Her career had been a source of pride and a defining aspect of her identity. At that moment, it was being ripped to shreds, and Nathan experienced a perverse pleasure in observing her anguish. The subsequent phase of his strategy involved finalizing the divorce. He met with Derek Wallace in an upscale restaurant, a sharp contrast to the turmoil in Madison Carter's life. The strategy was discussed to guarantee that Nathan emerged victorious in the divorce proceedings. "I have all the evidence I need," Sam said, his voice low as he surveyed the restaurant. "We are submitting a request for an expedited hearing. Given the current circumstances, Madison Carter will struggle to put up a significant defense." Nathan sipped his drink, his face set in a serious expression. "Well done. I would like this to be resolved swiftly. I desire for her to lose it all," Sam acknowledged with a nod. "We will ensure that she does. Keep in mind that you should be ready for her reply. She will retaliate, employing every tactic available to her." Nathan's lips twisted into a frosty grin. "Allow her to proceed. She has already been defeated. This is merely the concluding step." Madison Carter lingered in a fog of sorrow for the following days. Her previously flourishing real estate business had nearly fallen apart, with her colleagues and clients pulling away from her. She had to shut down her office, and the view of the vacant, quiet area served as a poignant reminder of her losses. Amid her turmoil, Madison Carter received a letter from Derek Wallace, the attorney representing Nathan. The notice regarding the divorce proceedings and Nathan's demands was both formal and straightforward. Madison Carter perused it with a heavy heart. Nathan desired it all: the house, the cars, their savings. He had even sought full custody of their 2 children, a decision she had not foreseen. She felt a deep pain in her heart as she reflected on her children. Their innocence was evident, yet her actions were turning their lives upside down. She attempted to reach Nathan, but his phone was perpetually turned off. Desperation compelled her to reach out to friends and family, yet they were reluctant to engage, cautious of the scandal and its potential fallout. On the day of the court hearing, Madison Carter entered the courthouse, feeling weighed down by her emotions. Her appearance was untidy, her face wan from insufficient rest. She had anticipated a gesture of kindness from Nathan, yet he displayed none. Instead, he remained in the courtroom with a cold demeanor, his eyes locked onto her with unwavering resolve. As the proceedings commenced, Sam unveiled the evidence of Madison Carter's infidelity, meticulously presenting it for the judge's consideration. The images, the communications, the writings, they were all present. Nathan observed, indifferent to Madison Carter's efforts to rationalize her behavior. Madison Carter's attorney, Rachel Monroe, sought to challenge the evidence presented. "Your Honor, Madison Carter admits to her errors. She feels profound remorse for her actions and is eager to seek forgiveness. She is pursuing an equitable distribution of assets and custody of her children." Nathan's voice pierced the silence of the room. "Is it a just distribution? She has shown a lack of honesty and has betrayed not only me, but also her clients and colleagues. She is not worthy of any leniency." Lisa faced Nathan, attempting to persuade him. "Nathan, I urge you to think about the children. They require their mother." Nathan's expression grew stern. She made her decisions. This is the result of her actions. The judge considered the arguments presented by both parties, her demeanor reflective. Following an extensive discussion, she decided in favor of Nathan. Madison Carter would need to give up the house, a significant portion of the savings, and would have restricted visitation rights with the children. The impact was devastating, a definitive confirmation of Nathan's retribution. Madison Carter exited the courthouse, her world in ruins. She sensed an emptiness within her. She had lost her career, her family, her dignity. Everything was gone. She had transformed into a cautionary tale, embodying the themes of betrayal and its repercussions. As Nathan drove home, he experienced a feeling of dark contentment. His strategy had succeeded. Madison Carter had lost it all. The last element of his vengeance had been carried out with precision. He had carefully deconstructed her existence, guaranteeing that she would never bounce back. At home, he surveyed the life he had struggled to create, a life that Madison Carter had so thoughtlessly shattered. The house, the furniture, the photographs, each a poignant reminder of a once joyful marriage. Now it stood as an empty shell, a testament to his victory over betrayal. Nathan stood in the center of the living room, his thoughts serene and focused. He accomplished his goals with determination. He had achieved his revenge, and he would never look back. The future lay before him, ready to be molded, free from the weight of history. He inhaled deeply, the burden of his choices pressing down on him. A portion of him felt hollow, a section that longed for the companionship and affection he once experienced. However, that aspect was eclipsed by the fulfillment of justice being achieved. Upon shutting the door to his home, he was certain of one thing. Madison Carter had driven him to his limits, and now she would face the repercussions of her decisions. Nathan emerged victorious. Nathan's phone vibrated, interrupting his train of thought. A message had arrived from Claire Bennett. He took a brief look at it. Madison Carter finds herself in a difficult situation. She is expecting a baby. Nathan read the message twice, his heart racing. The news was not only surprising, it represented yet another turn in the tumultuous journey that Madison Carter had led them all on. He found himself torn between a sense of satisfaction and a somber kind of pity. This revelation introduced a fresh aspect to his plans. Madison Carter sat in her minimally decorated apartment, gazing at her reflection in the mirror. Her previously lively appearance was now overshadowed by exhaustion and worry. Her hands lay gently on her expanding belly, the undeniable proof of her affair now clear to see. The apartment stood in stark contrast to the home she had previously shared with Nathan. It was diminutive and inhospitable, a sharp divergence from the existence she had forfeited. The weight of financial burdens was evident, and the sense of isolation was profound. The scandal had driven away her clients, and her connections had nearly vanished. The sound of her phone ringing pulled her abruptly from her thoughts. It was a figure she was unfamiliar with. With a hint of uncertainty, she replied, "Hello." The voice on the other end was polished and authoritative. "Ms. Reese? Claire Bennett here. I have been engaged to investigate several matters for Nathan Johnson." Madison Carter felt a sinking sensation in her stomach. What is it that Nathan desires at this moment? I'm uncertain if he's informed, but there's an important detail you ought to be aware of. Nathan has submitted a request for a legal modification to your divorce agreement. Amanda stated, in a clinical tone, that it is probable he will seek full custody of the children given your current circumstances. Madison Carter's breath hitched in her throat. What do you mean? Amanda's voice carried a strong yet compassionate tone. Nathan has expressed his desire to make certain that you are not in a position to jeopardize his children's future. The pregnancy alters the situation, and Nathan aims to create the most favorable environment for them. Madison Carter's eyes brimmed with tears. You seem to be missing the point. I am working to correct my mistakes. I wish to support my children. Amanda spoke softly. I'm just the messenger. However, I would recommend that you get ready. Nathan will not show any leniency. Nathan sat at his desk, poring over legal documents, when his phone buzzed once more. This time, it was a call from Derek Wallace. Hello, Nathan. Sam's voice resonated clearly. I would like to discuss Madison Carter's most recent progress with you. Nathan reclined, his fingers drumming steadily on his desk. What is the latest information? Madison Carter is expecting a baby. It certainly adds complexity to the situation. You need to understand that this might impact the custody arrangement, Sam stated, his tone grave. It may be beneficial to reevaluate your strategy to achieve the most favorable results. Nathan's jaw clenched. Think again? I have already expressed my stance clearly. She deceived me. Now she is confronting the repercussions. Sam acknowledged that. However, keep in mind that this has evolved beyond mere revenge. This concerns the future of your children. It is essential to guarantee that they are in a stable environment. Nathan's irritation was clear in his tone. Are you implying that I should simply excuse her actions? I'm suggesting you think about the long-term impact, Sam said. Ensure that the result is beneficial for your children, more than merely a way to seek vengeance. Nathan let out a deep sigh. All right, let's talk about how to tackle this. Days later, Madison Carter found herself amidst a heated court hearing. The atmosphere was charged, alive with the whispers of legal terminology and the sound of shuffling papers. She appeared noticeably anxious, gripping her lawyer's arm for reassurance. Nathan stepped into the courtroom, his expression icy and determined. He settled into his seat, his gaze fixed on Madison Carter with a fervor that sent a shiver down her spine. The judge summoned the court to order, and the proceedings commenced. Madison Carter's attorney articulated her case, highlighting her commitment to staying involved in her children's lives despite her present circumstances. Nathan's attorney, on the other hand, presented an alternative perspective. Your Honor, Mr. Johnson aims to guarantee that the children are situated in the most stable and secure environment possible. In light of the situation regarding Miss Reese's pregnancy and the repercussions of the scandal, Mr. Johnson is of the opinion that he should be granted primary custody. Madison Carter's lawyer presented a compelling argument. Ms. Reese recognizes her errors and is dedicated to rectifying the situation. She can create a nurturing and secure atmosphere for her children. The pregnancy must not be a reason to take away her opportunity to become a mother. Nathan's gaze was steadfast as he absorbed the arguments presented. He understood that this was the ultimate confrontation. The stakes were elevated, and he was resolute in his pursuit of victory. As the evening settled in, Nathan found himself alone in his home office, contemplating the events of the day. The court proceedings had taken a toll on him, leaving him weary, but he remained resolute in his commitment to see his plan through. A message from Amanda made his phone buzz. Madison Carter's attorney has asked for a meeting to discuss a settlement. They are seeking to engage in negotiations. Nathan read the message and felt a surge of satisfaction. Madison Carter found herself in a state of desperation, ready to engage in negotiations to preserve any trace of her former life. He was determined to complicate things for her. He called Derek Wallace's number. As soon as Sam answered, he said, "We need to discuss the settlement meeting." Sam replied that he already had the details. "What is your approach?" Nathan's voice was firm and unwavering. "I want to emphasize that I will not back down. I am willing to accept a settlement. However, it must be significantly advantageous for me. I want her to understand that her actions have consequences." "Got it," Sam replied. "I will take care of the negotiation. However, keep in mind that it is essential to come across as reasonable. You desire victory, yet you wish to avoid appearing spiteful." Nathan acknowledged with a nod. "I will entrust it to you. The settlement meeting is set for the upcoming week." Nathan and Madison Carter confronted one another in a conference room, the atmosphere charged with tension. Madison Carter seemed fatigued and uneasy, whereas Nathan maintained a calm demeanor, his eyes unwavering and resolute. The meeting commenced with formalities, during which Madison Carter's lawyer presented their proposed terms. Ms. Reese is open to a restricted visitation plan with the children, as long as she maintains some access to the family's assets and a reasonable child support agreement. Nathan's expression stayed unchanged. "I have no intention of making concessions. Madison Carter's actions have already inflicted considerable damage. My conditions are straightforward: full custody of the children, a comprehensive financial settlement, and no additional claims from her." Madison Carter's lawyer appeared taken aback. "That stance is quite rigid." Nathan's reply was resolute. "It is non-negotiable." Madison Carter's voice, despite its tremor, resonated throughout the room. "Nathan, if you would be so kind. I recognize that I have erred, yet this matter concerns our children. I am working to correct my mistakes. Do not allow your anger to ruin everything." Nathan's eyes locked onto hers, icy and relentless. "You had the opportunity to set things straight, Madison Carter. It is now your moment to confront the outcomes of your actions." Madison Carter's eyes brimmed with tears. "Kindly, Nathan, I implore you, consider the future of our children." Nathan's determination remained steadfast. "This matter transcends both of us now. It's essential to guarantee a promising future for our children, which requires providing them with a stable and secure environment." Madison Carter's shoulders drooped in resignation. She realized she had been defeated in this struggle. The terms of the settlement were concluded, and Nathan's requests were honored. As weeks went by, Nathan gradually adjusted to a new sense of normalcy in his life. The settlement was concluded, leaving Madison Carter with few assets and restricted visitation rights. Her career lay in tatters, and her personal life was a complete mess. The aftermath of the affair had left her shattered, and the pregnancy only intensified her difficulties. Nathan dedicated himself to reconstructing his life and making certain that his children received the care they needed. He was determined in his choice to offer them a stable, nurturing environment, devoid of the turmoil that had characterized the previous months. One afternoon, Nathan collected his children from school, their laughter and energy a refreshing change from the chaos of recent events. As they drove home, Nathan experienced a profound tranquility. In spite of the difficulties and suffering, he successfully ensured a future for his children. Madison Carter's absence served as a persistent reminder of the price of betrayal, yet Nathan took comfort in the understanding that he had safeguarded his family. He confronted betrayal directly and came out triumphant. Though the scars would linger, he was resolute in his quest to forge a new life, one anchored in trust and integrity. As Nathan made himself at home, enveloped by the affection of his children and the tranquility of his newly revitalized life, he realized that he had seized the reins of his future. The journey was challenging, yet he confronted it with steadfast determination. Madison Carter's actions had laid the groundwork for his revenge, and he executed it with meticulous care. Ultimately, Nathan not only secured his own future, but also guaranteed that his children would thrive in a stable and nurturing environment. The memories of Madison Carter's betrayal faded into the background, overshadowed by the strength and resilience Nathan discovered within himself.